What up, people and folks, kings and queens, what's good? It's the Shy White Guy here. First off, I just want to wish everybody a happy 420. Yeah. Another weed holiday, what can I say? For those of you who don't know what 420 is, it's pretty much the national marijuana holiday, national weed holiday. I will definitely be participating in the festivities. Yesterday I was talking to my mom, and she's 53, 54 years old. She just recently started smoking weed, so it's kind of funny because my whole life my mom told me, don't smoke weed and marijuana's bad for you and all this shit about how weed was going to get me thrown in jail and it was going to get me arrested and killed and all this shit. And now, all this time later, 20-something years later, here she is smoking it. It's cool with me, though. It's all good with me. It's a good thing. It just sucks that it took her so long to realize that marijuana's not as bad as everyone says it is and not as bad as the world makes it out to be. And I guess she believed the hype, even though she had experience with it before. I remember when I was a kid, I heard her telling a lot of stories about when she was younger and how she used to get stoned and stuff, how people used to smoke. She grew up during the whole hippie day. And I used to hear her tell these stories about how she used to, the first time she got high, and just, her stories just always made me laugh, you know what I mean? It always sounded, like, funny to me. So I kind of grew up thinking, like, damn, I want to see what that's all about, you know what I mean? I kind of want to try that. I was an early starter, man. First time I smoked weed, I was 8 years old, 9 years old. Yeah, I was young as hell. I remember walking out my dad's front door, and I see my sister hanging outside with her boyfriend and a couple of his friends. Boyfriend was a gangbanger. He was a Latin King, student named Pasquale. Somehow, I ended up separating from my sister, and I was hanging out with these dudes, and they told me, hey, what's up, man? You want to smoke? Whatever, we're going to smoke right now. You want to go? So I went with them. I still remember where it was. We went to this abandoned building or whatever it is in the middle of the night. They had this weird fucking aluminum foil fucking round thing. I still haven't seen one to this day. I don't know what the fuck these dudes were creating. Like, I've made regular aluminum foil pipes in my life, but these fucking guys were using some weird shit. It was like a long aluminum foil tube, and there was like bud stashed all inside of there, and they would stick a match inside of the fucking tube and smoke it like that. So yeah, that's the first time I ever smoked. It was with my sister's boyfriend, Pasquale. He was a Latin King. They were all gangbangers, and I just remember hanging with them dudes and getting stoned and just feeling like, wow, that's what it's like, that's the feeling. Because as a kid, I wondered, what was that like? I remember, man, right after, I started kind of getting paranoid, I was like, oh shit, I gotta go home now. I gotta act straight. I gotta act normal. I remember I was riding on the front handlebars. Someone was riding the bike. I think it was my sister, actually. My older sister riding a bike, and I was riding on the front handlebars. And I was just like flying, man. I felt like I was straight up flying, just sitting on the handlebars, and someone just riding, and I was just like coasting, and just stoned out of my mind. 8 years old, 9 years old. Not saying it's a good thing. Definitely don't smoke marijuana if you're under 18 years old. These stories aren't to like boost it or make it seem like it's a great thing. I'm just telling my life, I'm just telling my story. So then I'm going home, right? I'm paranoid enough as it is. I'm 8 years old, 9 years old. I'm going home, and my sister knows. She tells me, "Oh, you're fucking stoned. You were smoking with them. You were smoking," because she didn't really know I was smoking or whatever. But I guess she's seen it all over my face. There's no hiding it. And she's like, "Look at you, you little motherfucker with your cotton mouth." She's like, "Look at you. You can't even fucking talk. You got cotton mouth." She's like, I'm going to tell Dad. And I think she fucking blackmailed me or something and probably like made me her slave for a week or 2 weeks or something because I was stoned, and I didn't want to get busted. Yeah, that's my story of the first time I ever smoked, man. I was a young buck. Another thing, since I was talking about my mom, how she constantly used to demonize it and say how bad it was and all this shit, and oh, it's going to get you thrown in jail. And I used to get into a lot of trouble because of my mom thinking that I smoked pot or catching me smoking pot or whatever. I've been busted with it before, but that's really not the weed's fault, That's stupid laws. That's retarded that it's even illegal in the first place. How is it able to cure a group of people in one state, but in another state it's able to get them locked up for life? There's literally people that are locked up in jail for life over this plant. And on the other side of the country, in Colorado and Washington and California, people are taking it to stop them from having seizures. Cancer patients are taking it to help build an appetite. You know what I mean? They can't eat because they have cancer or whatever, and it takes away from your appetite. I My opinion on it is, marijuana is a miracle drug, and I'll tell you right now, if it wasn't for marijuana, who knows where I would be in my life. I kind of look at weed as a vacation for poor people. There's a lot of poor people who just don't get that opportunity to leave the country like all these rich folks do. Don't get that opportunity to hit the beach, go to Hawaii. Like me, I've never even been on a plane. I'm 30 years old. Never even been on a plane. So, everyone needs a break. Everyone needs a vice. That's why vacations exist. That's why these people go on breaks and they take these vacations, because your mind mentally, it needs that type of stuff. But for some poor people, you never get that break. You never get that opportunity because you're broke. You don't make a lot of money. That means you have to work more than the guy who does make a lot of money. You have to work overtime. You have to work double shifts. So marijuana is kind of a break for those people. And yeah, that's my stance on it, man. I can't stand the way that people have villainized it for years, and they really don't know shit about it. They don't know nothing about how it even became legal, about how this country used propaganda against Mexicans, putting fear in white people, telling them that their children would be raped by Mexicans who are stoned on marijuana, because that's literally how it became illegal. And Anslinger, which was the fucking secretary of whatever, the big guy who controlled shit back then, the whole reason for him making weed illegal in the first place was because he had invested interests in, in lumber and in, cotton fields and stuff like that. And if anyone knows, weed and hemp can be used to replace those things. Weed and hemp can be used to make furniture, can be used to make rope, can be used to make clothing. So this man was scared that his business was going to be threatened. So he protected his investments. He made weed illegal to protect his lumber yards and his cotton fields, And it's all a bunch of bullshit. The whole reefer madness from the 1950s, how they made you think if you smoke weed, you're going to turn into an axe murderer and kill your whole family. Anyone that's ever smoked weed will tell you that's the last thing you want to do. You just want to chill and maybe eat a brownie. Actually, a good thing that we have platforms like this, like YouTube and like Viceland. I know Viceland has a show now called Weed Etiquette or Weediquette, where they're constantly, telling the truth about marijuana. That's pretty much it for the video today. What can I say, man? Happy 420. I hope y'all enjoy this day. I hope y'all participate in the festivities and, just have a good time, man. Be careful out there. Kids, don't do drugs. Peace.